Watching this Mariners team play the last couple weeks has been a ton of fun, and this team is playing some outstanding baseball right now. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome into the Mariners post-game recap. The Mariners dominate with a 6-1 victory over the Arizona Diamondbacks, the defending National League champions today. The Mariners now improved to 14-12 on the season. They stay in first place. I know it's April. I shouldn't be looking at the standings, but listen, we're Mariners fans, right? We got to enjoy these things while we have them for sure. And it's definitely something I think will stay. I do think this team will win the division. I predicted it before the year. I'm sticking with it. I like this team. I like their makeup, and they are really playing outstanding baseball. They are playing like one of the best teams in the league right now. The pitching has been tremendous. The hitting is heating up. I cannot say enough good things about the team. I know they're only 2 games over 500. The slow start happened, but man, the last couple weeks, this team is absolutely dialed in today. And in a game that, and I know I didn't get a chance to get a series preview up. I do apologize about that. Um, work calls, you got to do what you got to do. But this was the game that was the most worrisome for me going up against Zach Gallen with Emerson Hancock on the hill. I thought this was going to be a really tough game for the Mariners to win. Now, nothing in baseball is set in stone. That doesn't mean they're locks to win George Kirby or Logan Gilbert on Sunday or anything. Things happen. But this was the game that would have concerned me the most, going up against one of the best pitchers in the National League. And, Emerson Hancock, to his credits, actually pitched really, really well. But, still we're not positive on where he's at necessarily. And we'll dive into his outing today, which was really solid. So I thought this was going to be a really tough game for the Mariners to get. And they came out, got a couple home runs early. Obviously, the Gallen injury, helped aid the Mariners. And thank goodness, just a hamstring for Gallen. I thought maybe it was an elbow or shoulder, the way he was kind of signaling to have Gabriel Moreno come out. So, and Gallen's one of the better pitchers in the game. And we've lost so many pitchers to injuries this year that you would hate to see another one. So obviously very thankful that Gallen is all right. But the Mariners took advantage when they needed to. They got a couple runs off Gallen. Then they get the big grand salami courtesy of Mitch Haniger off the bullpen. And this pitching staff is just incredible. I mean, we knew this was one of the best staffs in the game. That's not a shock, but they have just been, I can't say enough good things. The bullpen's been tremendous. Everything is clicking on all cylinders for this team. Talked about this tough 9-game stretch, right? With Texas 3, Arizona 3, Atlanta 3, and they're 3-1 through 4 games of it. I said 5-4 would be fine. I will still stand by that just because, anything can happen. I've had, streaks like this where I've said like, oh, now I want more. And then they lose 5 in a row. So I'm still fine if they can come out of this 5-4, even if they're 2-3 over the next 5, you're still going to be over 500 after a really tough stretch of baseball. And this is not to get like negative and go, oh, well, if they lose, no, I'm looking positive. I want this team to win tomorrow, win Sunday, and then bring on the Braves for a World Series preview. You know what I mean? Like, let's do it. But I just also, I'm saying that overall, I'd still be okay with 5-4 to come out of that. And the point is they're in really good position to at least go 5-4 during that stretch. And also you had a little bit maybe of a possible letdown tonight. You come off that Texas series where you win 2 out of 3. You don't get that day off, in between the series, and a chance for maybe a little bit of a letdown tonight. And it didn't happen. So, one thing last year where people were critical of this team, was that they didn't win a lot of like big games, or they didn't beat a lot of really good baseball teams last year, which, I've talked about this at length. I think they were a little bit better than some people think against good teams. And I don't really care if you beat up on bad teams, that's fine, but they wouldn't win this game last year, right? Like Zach Gallen would have shut them down. Maybe they bounce back and win the next 2 games after this or something, but this was just not a game they won. Winning the series in Texas, they were 0-6 in Texas last year. That Red Sox game earlier in the year I talked about in extra innings, that was the game they lost so many times last year. And I'm talking about it like last year they lost 100 games. They still had some really nice moments last season, but they're starting to win some of those games that they just didn't win last year, to be honest. And that's just what it feels like to me. And that's kind of that maturation and a team taking the next step is winning these type of games. When, Emerson Hancock versus Zach Gallen on paper is a game that you should probably not be winning. And to find a way to win it is just so, so huge. And now you're in great position to win this series with Kirby going tomorrow and Logan Gilbert on Sunday. Arizona's a good team. They could come up and win the next two, no doubt. But you've got to feel pretty confident now the Mariners at least probably get 2 out of 3 in this series and just continue to roll. It has just been so much fun to watch this team over the last couple weeks. It's been so much fun to talk about them. Listen, talking about losses can be therapeutic. And I enjoy it from a sense of like I can get things off my chest and off my shoulders with this team. But it is so much more fun to be talking about a winning baseball team right now. Obviously, today marked the return of Eugenio Suarez. Good to see he got a nice ovation. Well-deserved. Gino was a huge part of the playoff team 2 years ago and the team's success the last couple years. You can judge success differently, but certainly compared to some other Mariners years, the last 2 years have been better than what we've seen in the past. And Gino is a big part of that. He absolutely deserves a standing ovation. So would Paul Sewald. I don't know if the D-backs activated him or not. I'd have to go check. Not a big deal. But if he came in, I know it's a little bit different for a pitcher because he would likely come with the D-backs ahead, but Paul's another guy that absolutely deserves a standing ovation. I'm not one for booing anybody, to be honest. Now, I know Jared Kelenic comes back this next series as well. I'm not necessarily in the mood to give Kelenic a standing ovation. He didn't really, and it has nothing to do with anything he said. He just wasn't that great for the Mariners. Not going to boo him. I don't have anything personal against him. But Gino and Sewald to me were much more a part of the success. So a well-deserved standing O. So many ties between the D-backs and Mariners as well. I forgot to plug the channel, huh? Hit that like button, hit subscribe if you're new. I'm 4 subs away from 3,100. So if you're new here, do me a favor, hit that sub button. I knew I was forgetting something. It's all good. But yeah, if you guys can hit that sub button and hit the like button, it helps out the video tremendously. But yeah, you got Gino, obviously, in Sewald on Arizona. Josh Rojas now in Seattle, Canzone, even though he's on the IL. I'd forgotten Mitch Haniger was a Diamondback originally. I mean, if you would have asked me, I would have remembered, but I was watching the D-backs broadcast. Obviously, I'm in Arizona, so I can't get my MLB TV when the Mariners play the D-backs. So I have to watch on regular TV. And Steve Berthiem and Candiotti are actually really good announcers. I enjoyed listening to them. They had brought up Haniger being a D-back, and I'd completely forgotten about that. So a lot of ties between these two teams. For sure. So, really, really cool to see some of those guys back in Seattle. And of course, really cool to see the Mariners get the W. Let's start with the pitching like we always do. I'm already 8 minutes into the video. Emerson Hancock was outstanding. 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 2 walks, 4 Ks. Gave up the home run to Kevin Newman. Let me just get out of the way. Doug Eddings was awful, 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 terrible performance. It seemed like he did help the Mariners a little bit more out from when I was able to first watch the game in the 3rd or 4th inning versus, helping out the D-backs. I'm not going to apologize. I'll take a W. It is what it is. But yeah, Eddings was awful, atrocious. But back to the play on the field. What a start for Emerson Hancock. And that's a good Diamondbacks lineup. Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll. I know he's off to a slow start, but is a good hitter. Christian Walker's really good. Lourdes Gurriel is a guy I was kind of hoping the Mariners would target this offseason. Who else am I missing? Did I say Christian Walker? Jock Peterson's a capable hitter as well in that lineup. Gino, Gabriel Moreno, Pavin Smith puts up some good at-bats. So that's a pretty solid Diamondbacks lineup. And if you watched Locked On Mariners today, Ty and Colby were talking about how many runs they've scored this year. This is only like the 2nd or 3rd time all year they've been held to 1 run or less. They've only been shut out once, and they'd scored 1 run twice or something. They've had multiple games with 15 runs, 17 runs, 12 runs. So really, really impressive for Emerson Hancock. He has done a really nice job. I know the ERA still sits at 5.06. That's mostly from that Milwaukee game. Every other start minus Milwaukee, he gave this ball club a chance to win the game. And that is all you can ask for from a 6th starter or a back-end starter, whatever you want to look at Emerson Hancock. I know he's a first-round pick, so the expectations are higher than normal for most 6 starters, essentially. But he really looked sharp. He hit the corners. The changeup looked good. There was some hard-hit stuff, but nothing that I was too worrisome. I thought he threw the ball really well, kept the ball on the ground, got some key double plays, especially from Lourdes Gurriel. Just a tremendous outing for Hancock. Brian Wu should be back soon. I do want to talk about that real quick. A couple people asked me, do you go with the 6-man rotation? My answer is no. first and foremost, the problem with the six-man rotation is you're going to take starts away from Castillo, Gilbert, and Kirby, and you can't do that. Listen, if those guys need a rest or something, maybe you're a little worried about fatigue or something, fine. I'm not against them skipping a start to make sure they're fresh, but you don't want to go six-man and have those guys only make 29 starts or something versus 34. It was one thing in 2021 when your rotation was Marco, Kikuchi, Paxton, Flexen, with stuff like that. Sure, six-man's fine, but when you've got three guys that good, you don't want to skip any of their starts. You could maybe do something where like you rotate Wu, Miller, and Hancock at the bottom of the rotation. The problem with that is then if you go like, okay, Castillo, Kirby, Gilbert, Wu, Hancock, Castillo, Kirby, Gilbert, Miller, Wu, mix it up. You're essentially kind of wasting a roster spot because you're going to have somebody pitching only every 10 days. So I listen, I think what you do with Emerson Hancock is I think you put him back in AAA. I think it's Brian Wu's spot, the fifth spot. And I'm a big Brian Wu fan. And then I think if Wu, struggles or you're a little worried with the injuries, you have Emerson Hancock back up ready to go. And listen, someone's going to get hurt, hopefully nothing serious, but someone's going to miss a start somewhere and Hancock will come back up. So these things tend to play themselves out, and it's a good problem to have if Emerson Hancock is truly emerging as a legitimate starting pitcher. And I'm starting to buy in. I wasn't sure. I thought he could hold down the fort while Wu was out. I said that early in the year. I think he'll hold down the fort fine. But now I'm looking at a guy that I think is legitimately developing into a legitimate starting pitcher. It could be something you look at the trade deadline. Excuse me, at the trade deadline if you need a bat or something like that. So there's also that option as well. But it's a good problem to have. You can't have starting pitching to me is like, defensive line depth in football. I know pitching is probably more important, but you know what I mean? Like you cannot have enough because you can rotate guys in and out. You're never going to be hurt for having too much pitching depth. Hancock was fantastic tonight. Trent Thornton continues his dominance, a shutout inning with 2 strikeouts. Trent Thornton's been fantastic. I mean, he is a legitimate weapon out of this bullpen that just continues to pump out reliever after reliever that is capable of getting big outs. I mean, this team just has a magic touch with it. I mean, everybody they bring in, last year they brought in Trent Thornton at the deadline after trading away Sewald, and truthfully, Thornton has been just as good as what you could have gotten from Paul. And that's not a diss on Paul. I love me some Paul Sewald. But Thornton has just been absolutely fantastic. A little bit of a home run problem last year. Haven't seen it though this season. I mean, we're still limited sample size, but even if it was something that, haunted Thornton a little bit with the home runs, he's still good enough outside of that to still be a valuable reliever. Cody Bolton, 2 shutout innings to finish it up. Got a little off with the command, I thought, in the 9th inning. Walked Christian Walker, walked Jock Peterson. I will say Ketel Marte reached, but it was on a little infield hit that Polanco, it was hit too slow for Polanco to make a play. So a little bad luck too. Thought Bolton was fine for the most part. Looked like he was just having trouble locating that sweeper. Got Gino to ground out to end the game, but this pitching staff just continues to blow me away. Like I said, it's not just Castillo, Gilbert, and Kirby. Bryce Miller looks like he's taken a step forward this year, and Emerson Hancock looks that way as well. So I'm really excited to see. I'm actually excited to see what they do with this rotation. Like I said, it's a good problem to have. Think about it being a bad issue, like Wu struggling, Miller struggling, Hancock struggling. What do you do? Right now, you've got guys that are all doing so great, you don't know what to do. Great problem. Excited to see how it plays out. Really happy for Emerson Hancock. Well deserved. And like I said, outside of Milwaukee, he did a fantastic job filling in. And it's going to allow you to be more patient with Wu. Maybe you want him to make another minor league start, and Hancock can make another start at the big league level. Let's get to the offense. Josh Rojas haunting the former mates, 1 for 3 with a solo home run to lead off the game off of Zach Gallen, which in alone is impressive, and a walk as well. I mean, I can't say enough. I don't expect Josh Rojas to run a 900 OPS this year, but that's what he's doing right now. I'm sure the BABIP's probably a little high, but I cannot say. I mean, I just feel like I'm praising everybody here. I can't say enough good things about Josh Rojas. I can talk about it every night. But he made some impressive defensive plays as well. Rojas has been tremendous. I mean, the Mariners are like 4th in baseball in WRC plus from third base. I got to say, like, the Geno trade kind of working out. Now, I was actually one to say I think the third base platoon is going to be okay with Rojas and Urias. I still don't like that they salary dumped Gino, essentially. I wasn't against trading him. I just would have liked maybe to get a little bit more in return. I do think there were signs of decline there in the strikeout numbers, and the power was a little zapped last year to what it was the previous year. He's been off to a bit of a cold start this year. We're not going to focus too much on other teams, though. All I know is right now the Mariners are getting tremendous production from third base, and I hope it continues. And while I don't know if they're going to finish with like the third or fourth best WRC plus for third base in baseball, I definitely think that this platoon is going to work out for the Mariners and be pretty solid. Like I said, I don't even think defensively. Listen, Gino, I've said it before, we've been really spoiled with third base defense with Beltre, Seager, Gino. I don't know if Rojas and Urias will be there, but they've looked pretty solid to me at third base. Julio, 2 for 4. Hope Julio's okay. Fouled a pitch off his foot in the bottom of the 8th. I believe he stayed in the game, obviously. In the box score, it would have shown that he didn't. But we'll see how sore that is. Maybe he's off tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. But good to see Julio with a couple hits. You know, he's actually been really hot the last few weeks. Again, want to see the power numbers come alive a little bit, but I'll never complain about a guy being on base and half of his at-bats. Cal was 0 for 3 with the walk. Doesn't tell the whole story. Cal just missed 2 home runs that went foul that he crushed. Now, that's a foul ball. It is what it is. You know, we can't go back and look at every player's foul balls and give them credit, but definitely felt like Cal was better than just a walk tonight. But it was a big walk, too, because it loaded the bases up for Mitch Haniger, who hits the first grand salami of the season. The rye bread and the mustard was got out for Mitch Haniger. Good to see, not only because it was a grand slam that completely opened the game up for the Mariners, it was also good to see for Mitch Haniger, who's been in a little bit of a slump here. Talked about maybe getting him some days off along with Mitch Garver. Of course, both them homer today. You know, listen, I think right now with the injuries and everything, it's hard to keep Haniger out of the lineup. He's still one of your best guys. I'm all for getting him a day off, but, you know, I think for right now, the day off's got to be maybe a DH day, the occasional day off, but you kind of need that bat. You're missing JP. Luke Raley's not off to a hot start. Clase's cooled off after a nice first few games. So you kind of need Mitch Haniger out there. Polanco 0 for 2 with a walk. You know, Polanco seems to get at least one walk every game. Ty was 0 for 3, couple bad luck outs, hit over 100-mile exit velo. Ty's been pretty unlucky this year. He's hit some balls really hard. Again, want to see it produce results, and it did yesterday. You know, listen, you keep hitting the ball with 100 exit velo, they're going to find the gap eventually. Mitch Garver 1 for 3 with a solo home run. Really good to see it off Zach Gallen, which is it makes it a little extra impressive as well. So keep it coming. Good to see for Mitch Garver. You know, get that slugging going. He's had some better at bats recently. He's hit the ball kind of hard, just been so much on the ground. Good to see him elevate a ball, get out of the park for the home run. Hopefully it's the start of a Mitch Garver hot streak as well. Luke Raley was 0 for 3. He did have a pretty hard hit line out in his last at bat. And I think he just missed a home run, if I'm not mistaken, his first at bat as well. Raley seems to be coming on a little bit. The contact's better. Early in the year, he was just kind of swinging through everything. Does seem like he's getting close to maybe having a little bit of a breakout. I would personally keep playing Luke Raley. You know, and again, like I know I mentioned it yesterday with Jonathan Clase saying I'd send him down. Now, I do need to walk that back a little bit. I had completely forgotten that Clase was a switch hitter because I was talking about adding a right-handed bat. Clase technically fills that role. I still think, though, if you're going to give Luke Raley the at-bats, the can zone at-bats, which I think is actually probably the right thing to do, I do think it's better to send Clase down and then have that sort of fourth outfielder role be taken by Sam Haggerty, Samad Taylor, Cade Marlowe, someone like that, where if they're not getting regular at-bats, you're not too concerned about it. And then Dylan Moore, 0 for 3. Listen, team's 2-0 since the J.P. Crawford injury. I talked about the bullpen, right? Any game without Brash and Santos, bullpen is able to finish off and save is a positive. And not that like losing JP means I expect the team to lose a bunch of games, but any game you can kind of win without JP is huge. It's just wins you can kind of bank in. Then you get JP back hopefully in a month and time to go. Talked about it yesterday. I mean, go as in take off and win more games. Talked about yesterday, I think the team has better depth than people have given it credit for. I think Dylan Moore can fill the role at short. We'll see if Rivas gets a couple starts there as well and how he performs. And yeah, even I think in the outfield with Canzone being out, you know, you got Luke Raley. I know he hasn't hit well, but you've got guys that can fill some of these voids essentially with injuries. I mean, and look at the bullpen. Talk about depth. I mean, again, the Mariners have two of the best relievers in baseball in Gregory Santos and Matt Brash on the IL. And you've got Trent Thornton, Cody Bolton, Gabe Spire, Ryan Stanek. Who else am I missing? Austin Voth, Taylor Saucedo, all stepping up and just pitching tremendous. This team has better depth. Look, Brian Wu missing a month, and Emerson Hancock has stepped in. I just think it's kind of funny because one thing I've seen people rip this team for is they just don't have the depth. And I see people go, oh, they lose Julio and they lose Kirby and Gilbert. Well, yeah, no, I'm not going to say the S word there because I don't want to get my video demonetized. But yeah, of course, if they lose like their core, they're going to be in trouble. That's every team in baseball. But they've held up pretty well with some injuries early on. Wu, I don't know why I'm renaming them. I've already said it, but Brash, Santos, Wu, Canzone, like they have, and I know those guys aren't their top guys, but still they've held up pretty well. And yeah, if their best players all go out, then yeah, that's going to be really tough. That's every team in the league, though. Welcome to baseball, essentially, would be my response to that. Great win for the Mariners. This one, I don't know. This one just felt a little better, actually, because I kind of thought this was going to be a loss. I did coming into it. I just thought with Gallen on the mound. And listen, I said on Twitter that going into the sixth inning, because Gallen had really settled in, that the Mariners might have to win this game 2-1 because Gallen looked like he might go 8, and I didn't see them getting another run. Now, certainly, I didn't mean to jinx anything, and Zach Gallen gets hurt. That was not the intention at all there. I think you guys know that, but so a little bit of a break there. D-backs had to go to the bullpen, get a reliever in that hadn't warmed up, and the Mariners took advantage. But that's what you do, right? When something goes wrong for another team, you take advantage of it. That's how good teams win. That's how good teams put their, foot on the gas and go. The D-backs ran into some injury situations, which stinks because I know they've lost Merrill Kelly for a little bit, and they're probably going to lose Gallen for at least a couple weeks here, depending on the severity of the hamstring injury. And that's a shame. You don't want that to happen, obviously. And being in Arizona, I have a little soft spot for the D-backs, but good teams take advantage when teams have an injury or something goes wrong. And the Mariners absolutely did that, and they deserve credit for that. That's what you're supposed to do. Keep your foot on the gas and put that game away. That's what they did. And they got a chance to win a series now tomorrow again. I think it'd be their 4th or 5th series win in a row. I think it'd be their 4th because the Rockies, Reds, Rangers, and then it would be the D-backs. So team's playing really good ball. You guys should be enjoying it. And yes, I absolutely do think it will last and it can last. I think this is a really, really good baseball team. You're getting some great performances for guys that we didn't necessarily expect. And yes, like I said, will Rojas cool off? Probably a little bit. I don't expect him to run a 900 OPS. But guess what? I don't expect Mitch Garver to run a 536 OPS. I don't expect Ty France with his batted ball profile to keep up 652 OPS. Julio's power is going to start coming. So yeah, you might get a little bit of a drop off from some guys, but then you're going to get the other guys coming up. Maybe Emerson Hancock drops off. Well, you got Brian Wu. Maybe you got guys in the bullpen that might drop off. Well, you got Matt Brash and Santos. Hopefully, I will be honest, we haven't heard much injury updates there. I know Santos went to the 60-day IL. That doesn't mean a ton. I figured he was going to kind of be out for that. And it's retroactive, so I don't think that necessarily means anything, but hopefully they'll be back. So that's all I got. Great win. Mariners stay in first place. Stay 2 games over 500. Hit that like button. Hit subscribe. Like I said, 4 subs away from 3,100. Let's get that tonight. If you're going to the game this weekend, go to the SeatGeek app go to their website or download the SeatGeek app. Use promo code JSTrident and save yourself $20 off if you're heading to T-Mobile this weekend. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow night. Members only stream. I may have to move that to Sunday. I'll let you guys know. That might actually be a Sunday thing. We're doing some family stuff tomorrow. So I may have to do the member stream Sunday. Think about becoming a channel member twice a month. Members only live streams. One will have contest giveaway. The other will just be a good chance for us to chat and get a little more insight to my thought on the team if you want it. So have a great night, everybody, and go Mariners. This is a good baseball team. Enjoy it, guys. Peace.